Okay, welcome to another podcast. Today's talk is about an exercise that either you've subscribed and you're watching this, so I'm going to make it give you some ideas at the end, or you've been given this in our office by Dr. Zebo, myself, or another practitioner. But the goal of this is to explain the roles exercise. So what is the roles exercise? Let me bring up my PowerPoint. Essentially what this is, it's a issue, you've been given this because of one main reason, which I will tell you in 1 second. There we go. Something is wrong. Something on the emotional level, something in your world, something is causing you physical distress, or emotional distress that is probably causing you physical issues in your life or just distress in your life. And the idea of this exercise has two parts to it. This is something that therapists use a lot. This is counselors. This is not I did not create this concept. I've probably adapted it a little bit, as most people do. And it's also something that's used very well in a technique that I'm very biased for, which is neuro-emotional technique, otherwise known as N.E.T, which we'll have a link to that for those that aren't in our office. You can find a practitioner near you because that's the second step of how to really make this work. However, just doing the simple stuff is something that works for a lot of people. So something's wrong in your life. What this exercise is and why do you want to do this? It's to help empower you to be better. It's to get out of your funk, whatever that is, to simplify your issue and understand your issue, and then find out what really needs help. So first you have to define your roles. There are so many roles we have in our life. You have a role as a single person. You have a role as a husband or a wife. You have a role as a son and a daughter, a son-in-law, a daughter-in-law. You have your role as a parent perhaps, or maybe a step-parent. You have your role as a gay person or a lesbian person, or pick whatever millions of genders we now have or identities. You have your role as your relationship to God, as a child to God if you have that. Even as an atheist or whatever your spiritual makeup may be, you have that's a role. You have your role with employment as an employee or maybe as the boss. You have a personal item. You have your role as a fat person or as an injured person or whatever unhealthy person you might be. You could be a widow. You could be a divorcee. You could be a friend to someone. You can be lonely. You have all these different roles. There's many, many more we can go through, but these are pretty much the big ones that usually come into play. You can even add financial into there, a poor person or an ultra rich person. Those would probably be pretty good roles too. So step one of this is you have to write this from emotion. That's the key to this exercise. It's not empirical, your wisdom and your knowledge and your consciousness. It's writing from emotion, and you need to write this down. So the two parts of this is the role I'm playing is, and then the role I will be playing is afterwards. And that's where you essentially put the confident part or the alter ego of what the role you're playing is. So I'm going to do 3 examples just for you. These are just made up people based upon, pieces of all 20. I've been doing N.E.T for 25 years. I don't know that I've been doing the roles that long, but just based upon the history. So this is a woman. She's 48 years old. She's overweight. She's single. She's a mom, single mom, She owns her own business. And so her roles in this exercise, primarily to focus, is the role I'm playing is that she's single, the fact that she's a mom, and the fact that she's a boss. And then she's going to do the role I will be playing and do it in a positive change. So what this does is, let's say she presents and she's got a lot going on in her life and she's overstressed. So the role I'm playing is a single person. So that's a personal issue. Then she's got her mom, that she's a single mom, and then she's got that she's a boss. And the reason we want to separate these roles and write from emotion is because of this simple example. So her role I'm playing is the single woman who's overwhelmed because she feels lonely and she feels unsupported and she feels lost and she feels vulnerable and scared. This kind of stuff. And you don't just write the emotions. You would want to write it a little bit more storytelling poetically. Her role as the single mom could also be exhausted single mom who tries to do everything perfectly, but just can't seem to make ends meet. And then her role as a boss is, I'm a boss is a confident boss who cares about her employees, who does a great job, who pays them well. So what does this do? Now we go to the role I will be playing. So if you remember what I've just said, in the beginning scenario, her role as single had some issues. There was definitely some overwhelm. There was she feeling she was needy. So then she needs to look at it and say, how can I change this? And all of those pieces you want to write from the positive. As a role from a mom, maybe there's a few issues, but overall she's doing it. She's taking care of it. She's getting things done. And then her role as a boss in that scenario was actually pretty good. She's a good boss and such. So what this automatically starts to do with our psyche is it starts to recognize that her whole world is not crushing down on her. Her whole world isn't the problem. It's the fact that she's single and she's lonely, really. And so ultimately she can use this to then use that my boss issue is not a problem. I'm a good employer, to give her a little bit of mojo, shall we say. Her role as a mom, she can do maybe those nuances of, the role I'm playing is the mother that is snappy because she gets frustrated with the fact that she's single. Well, then she could say, I'm the mother that's going to be kind and considerate and not project my emotions onto my child. And then the role as a single would be very simple, because she knows she's a good boss, is, I'm a good parent, I'm desirable, and I'm a good catch. So those would all be ideas of how this would play out. And what this does, just from the basics of this part of the exercise, is it helps you to start to compartmentalize the fact that your entire life is not a mess. It's just pieces of your life in different roles that perhaps need help. In this case, a good thing would be she might want to do her role as a daughter if her parents are still alive, and she might find out she's a great daughter, and that really helps her too, because that just gives her another benefit that she's doing a good job. So example 2, we've got a male, 35, recent divorcee. He's in a dead-end job. He's got he's estranged from a parent. So the roles in this case would be, he could do either, the role I'm playing is the single man or the divorcee. The role I'm playing is the employee or the profession. So let's say he's a engineer. The role I'm playing is the engineer, the mechanical engineer who works for whatever blah blah university. And then the role he also has this transparency is the role I'm playing is the son that blank. And so that's how we would write it. We would write these things from an emotional point of view again. That's the key. So the role I'm playing is, let's say, the divorcee who feels abandoned by his ex-wife, who is resentful that she left him, who is lost, who has self-esteem issues of meeting women, who is shy, and such. Hopefully you get the point. The same thing, his role as an employee might be, I'm the employee that's indifferent, that really doesn't care, or that's really not passionate about your achievements, or the fact that there's nowhere to go up. And then the question is, why are you there? And then the role as a son is, the role I'm playing as a son is the son that is ambivalent or angry because his parent disowned him, whatever. And then again, so the role you will be playing is, again, the positive of that. When you split these roles up, again, the goal is most of these shouldn't all have problems. There's times they do, and I can address that right now. If all of your roles have a problem, they almost all go to an inner issue, and there's going to be a theme. There's going to be a theme in there of unsupported or angry or self-esteem or overly sympathetic or over-concerned or grief or sadness. There's going to be a theme that goes with all those roles, and that's going to come out, which, okay, I need to work on my anger problem, or I need to work on my unsupported feelings or distrust issues. So that's when every single role is bad. But in most cases, usually there's one or two roles in our life which is the problem, and most of our other roles are good. So it helps to realize, again, that our entire life isn't crashing. We have a problem with one issue, and here's what it is. And that's where, again, the role you will be playing is, what do you want? What do you wish for that role? So, and it can go both ways. In this situation, this scenario, his employee profession role, the role I will be playing might be the employee that demands a raise, that demands to grow, that demands a new position, or it could be the role I will be playing is the quality engineer that is more worthy of more and is going to find a new job and find a company that appreciates their ability. So it can go both ways. It's really up to what do you want. This just helps you as a resource to start to figure out what do you really want. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they start bringing in the ancillary roles that they have, and that's what it is. So again, hopefully you're understanding this. Example number 3, we've got one more. We've got a female grad student. She's stressed. She's feeling pressure and anxiety about her dissertation or about whatever. So in this case, the role she's going to be playing might be her role as a daughter, might be her role as a grad student, might be her role dealing with her spirituality and God. And in this case, that would be why. Let's say she's feeling stressed and pressured. I see this all the time by students who feel they're going to let their parents down, or that their parents are going to, not love them if they don't fail. I mean, emotions are interesting because they're not always logical and rational. They know their parents support them, but at the same point, they're really upset or they feel really stressed based upon what their parents, that talking in the back of their head of like, I don't know what I'll tell my mom about this, or I don't know how I'm going to address this with my mom or my dad. With a grad student, usually that's regarding a professor they have. The role I'm playing is the grad student that always tries to please and doesn't get, doesn't feel, supported, which a lot of, professors are definitely guilty of trying to parent, shall we say, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad, but to make people think that they're just not good enough, and they try to break you down. Sometimes that's actually needed, and other times that's the professor's ego. So doing this role is when you understand, when you write from the emotional point, and then you do the role I will be playing, that's when you can start to figure that out. Wait a second, I've done good, I've done everything this professor wants, I've done it all, and they're the ones, and you start to recognize, so you empower yourself to not be belittled, not to be bullied, not to be put down, or you may recognize you're not coming to the plate because you're indifferent, or maybe this isn't what you want. So those would be the 3 examples. So if you do this role, this exercise, it should be really powerful. The ones that you're having issue with, it should sound pathetic. It should sound where you're even like, come on, Mary, this isn't you. You're better than this. It should sound pathetic. And then when you do the role I will be playing, it should empower you. The roles you don't have a problem with, they're going to sound good. There's really going to be nothing you need to rewrite. There shouldn't be the role I will be playing is the greater boss. I mean, if you're a great boss, you're a great boss. Or if you're a great employee, same thing. So I hope that makes sense. So here are the most common mistakes we see. One is people blend the roles too much. The role I'm playing is the single mom who doesn't like her job. Well, no, your job as an employee is very different than your being a single mom. Those are 3 different roles in themselves. There's going to be times there's overlap, of course, but the goal here is to really try to define which role is which and separate them before. The other one common mistake is just being too in your head, too cognizant, and just not being emotional. Well, it's because of this and this and this, and being too literal in your writing. And then the other one is just ignoring the roles altogether and just blending it together because you're too frustrated, or it's just all in your inner world dialogue. So the next level you would do with this, again, if you've gotten this from our office, I know what we're going to do, but if you're seeing this, you hopefully do the first parts, and then you can do a couple things. Neuro-emotional technique is a wonderful technique. It was developed by a chiropractor, but it's used by therapists all around the world as well. It's been around for, I want to say 30 plus years at this point, at least over 25, I know, because I was at their anniversary several years ago. And what that technique does, it's different than therapy because it deals with that mind-body part. It deals with the physiology of emotion. Go to netmindbody.com. You can find videos about it. Again, it's phenomenal technique, and I'm just biased because I've used it and found it good. They have no idea I'm promoting them. And this therapy, of course, this is something you bring to your therapist. You can talk about it. You can use cognitive therapy on these items. You know what? I did this exercise and I really have an issue with my job as an employee or with my career, and that's what you then focus on. You can take this to your family and your friends and discuss it with them, or you can even just do it with affirmations. What is your positive? What are the positive parts? I affirm that I am going to, be more confident in my single life, or my affirmation is I'm going to try to start to date, whatever that may be, but whatever affirmation you want to use, that's what it is. And then the other big thing people forget is bring it in. Write it down, but don't just keep it in your own head and say, oh yeah, I did that exercise. You need to share it with people. You need to let someone else read that, because when they read it, they're going to see things that you might not. They're going to maybe see those patterns that you don't. So preferably you're seeing a professional, an N.E.T person who's certified, you're seeing a therapist, you're seeing someone of a professional knowledge base. They're going to be more helpful. Or it could be a parent or someone, a loved one who really knows you well. But that's the whole idea, is you want to share this with people. So I hope that helped. I hope it makes sense. And I wish you all well. Take care. Bye-bye.